And we're back. Rush Limbaugh on the cutting edge of societal evolution. From the Politico, advisors to Donald Trump and Ted Cruz say that there is no way they will allow John Kasich to even compete at a contested national convention, let alone prevail. Trump and Cruz are betting that their dual dominance in the delegate hunt will permanently box out Kasich, who has no mathematical path to the nomination and is openly pursuing a floor flight at the convention in Cleveland. The aides to Trump and Cruz say that Kasich won't even make it to the floor. Saul Newsis, a former Michigan Republican national committeeman advising Cruz on convention strategy, said there's virtually zero chance Kasich can even be nominated. It's a two-man race. This is what everybody thinks. You know, I'm watching Fox last night, and look, I know this is the common sense play. The analysis is it's Trump, more than likely, next Cruz, but outside of that, there's nobody that has a prayer. And right now, here's the conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom is the Republican race is over. We know it's either going to be Cruz or it's going to be Trump. Nobody else has a chance. Nobody else has a prayer. You cannot take the votes away from Trump. You can't deny him the nomination. If he shows up, however short, if it's 75 delegates short, 50 delegates, 150, you can't take it away from him. If Cruz pulls off a major upset and happens to win over 60% of the remaining delegates and happens to best Trump, you can't take it away from Cruz, but neither of them get to 1273. You can't take it away from him. It's over. That was the conventional wisdom. But there were those who didn't accept it. There were those on TV last night. Well, you can't leave Kasich out of this. Kasich is going to go and compete in the Northeast. Kasich could take some delegates away from Cruz. Kasich can take some delegates away from Trump. Kasich could do well in Michigan. We had Republican establishment types promoting John Kasich on CNN and on Fox last night because John Kasich represents the last stand, the last chance they've got. Here it is. Let me synthesize this. The wise men and the smart money says that there is no way that the powers that be will deny Trump or Cruz once we get to Cleveland. They just won't do it. It can't happen. It won't happen. Too many people will have voted. And I'm sorry, folks, I don't think that's automatic because of the way I know the people in the Republican establishment that we are all talking about here. This crowd is very stubborn. They have not come to grips with what's happened to them here. They by no means have accepted that the top two delegate getters are outsiders and are not part of the Republican Party ranking establishment in any way. They have not come to grips with that. And the reason they haven't come to grips with it is that they don't want to. This operation is theirs. It has been their life. They trained for it in college. They trained for it with family connections. They trained for it and they got involved in it and they climbed the ladder within it from the moment of young adulthood. Those that wanted to be in it that early. Some have been recruited, of course, over the years because they've recently acquired a lot of money and therefore have influence. But for the most part, these are lifers. They fear losing their virtual professional existence. They fear losing their self-worth, the thing that gives them swagger, the thing that validates their success is their position in this club. The establishment, the Republican Party, and in fact the entire Washington establishment. And they're not just going to let some outsiders come in and take it. It just isn't going to happen. The thing to keep in mind here, these people to whom I'm referring, they have all of this whether the party wins or loses elections. That's the key. They have all of the perks and the power, the lifestyles, the connections, even if they lose elections. As long as they run the party, as long as they run their part of the quote-unquote establishment, they fear losing their standing in this club more than they fear the party losing the presidency or any other election. And let's talk about other members of the establishment. Let's talk about conservative media types. How about the people who, and this is not personal, but how about the people whose very lives are devoted to the intellectual pursuit of conservatism, supposedly? They may have magazines. They may be at think tanks. They may be policy aides. They might be legislative aides. They might be but their existence is to continue to write about the superiority and the preferability of conservatism. That's the role they play in this whole arrangement. That's the reason for their existence. That's what gives them their swagger. They are considered leading opinion makers and opinion leaders. They are considered superior intellects when it comes to the intellectual pursuits of conservatism. What is the reason for their existence if Trump wins the White House? The think tank people, what will be the point? Trump has not welcomed them. They haven't welcomed Trump. Trump is not going to be identified as a movement conservative who is going to be seeking the advice of these people. You think they're not paranoid? Their whole lives have been rooted and based on that identity. They're the go-to guys to explain the conservative view of the Middle East. They're the go-to guys to explain the conservative view of Putin and the Ukraine and China and whatever. And now they're on the outs because nobody will be interested. Theoretically, now they could make a move here and try to sidle up to Trump if and when the day comes, but they don't want that to happen. They're scared. I mean, this is their identities, their self-worth. So they're just not going to peacefully let all this happen. And that's why John Kasich, that headline yesterday, I think it happened to be right. The fate of the GOP hangs on what happens in Ohio. Kasich hanging on. By the way, he is one of those people. Got to take a break. Sit tight. Back with much more after this. Don't